I'd now like to welcome our next speaker, Carol Constant, the founder and CEO of WhomLab. Carol joins us from the Czech Republic, and her topic is bias in leadership, volunteering as a way forward. Welcome, Carol. The stage is yours. If I can see you here, Carol, all yours. Very excited to listen to your thoughts.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So yes, as you said, the title of my talk today is Bias in Leadership, Volunteering as a Way Forward. So who am I to talk about the bias in leadership? Well, my daily life revolves around leadership. In G100, I am a member of the Global Council for Pay Parity and Corporate Transformation. I founded a technology company that helps large companies develop their staff as leaders. And I'm also a LinkedIn top leadership voice, and I've just won an award as the Leader of the Year 2024 by Digital Women. Every day I work with people in leadership, and there I see bias. To effectively explore this topic, we must first grasp the concept of bias. What is bias? Is it truly an issue for those in leadership roles? And what about you and me? Just yesterday, I had the opportunity to visit my husband's office, and while I was there, his boss and his secretary arrived. Now, I want to ask you all, how many of you, when I mention his boss, immediately picture a man? And how many of you, when I refer to his secretary, visualized a woman? You see, this reaction illustrates bias in action, and its implications are substantial. We tend to assume that the individual in power, in a position of power, is male, while the subordinate is female. If we allow these assumptions to remain unconscious, we inadvertently perpetuate this imbalance over time. This is a common phenomenon. We all engage in it. The crucial part is becoming aware of our biases and recognizing their power. Bias can profoundly shape our perceptions and decisions, often without us even realizing it. In the context of leadership, these biases can lead to favoritism, poor hiring decisions, unmerited promotions, and ultimately a lack of diversity within teams. Consider, for instance, the rate of investment in female founders. Can anyone guess? I will ask you to put it there in the chat. Can anyone guess the percentage of funding allocated to startups run by women? Go ahead and take a guess. What would you think? 25%. Let's see. Believe it or not, it's not 25%, it's not 50%. It is much lower, much less than that, much less than 25. You are going to be shocked, I think. The figure is a staggering, wait there, you'll see. It's a 2%. These are official figures, yes? That's a 2% of investment funds go to women, while a whopping 98% goes to men. It is absurd. And as a female startup founder, I can attest that for my company, securing clients is far easier than finding investors. This shocking discrepancy signifies that a change is urgently needed. I think you'll agree with that. Well, by increasing our awareness of these unconscious biases, we can cultivate a more equitable and inclusive environment, not only in our workplaces, but also throughout society. This isn't just about fairness, it's about unlocking the potential of every individual, which ultimately benefits all of us. Next, we need to delve into some of the biases that exist in leadership roles. Unconscious bias is perhaps the most subtle form, automatic judgments that may unconsciously shape leadership's behaviors and decisions. This is evident in the assumptions that we made just before about the boss and the secretary. Then there's affinity bias, which refers to favoritism based on perceived similarities, like male investors favoring male startup founders, or a disproportionate number of men being promoted to C-suite roles. This creates a vicious cycle. Men in power tend to promote other men, while minority groups, whether defined by gender, culture, or other factors, remain marginalized. The result is a troubling lack of diversity in senior leadership positions, which is evident across industries and sectors. So, how can we break this cycle? Well, the first step is recognizing that you cannot appreciate what you don't know. This is where volunteer comes into play, as volunteering provides invaluable exposure to diversity. And how does it achieve this? Well, volunteering pulls leaders and all of us out of our familiar bubbles. For example, if you're a lawyer, your conversations are likely with other lawyers. If you're a teacher, you primarily interact with others in the education sector. We must break free from these confines and step into diverse environments where we can engage with individuals from varying backgrounds, with diverse perspectives, and from different socio-economic classes. This exposure can significantly reduce our unconscious biases. When we volunteer, we donate our time to causes that we care deeply about. Here, I'm not just talking about typical charity work. I mean genuine volunteering, for example, engaging in community service at a local food bank or pet shelter, participating in environmental initiatives like beach cleanups or tree planting, or mentoring young individuals to support their growth. If you were to take a look at my LinkedIn profile, for example, you'll see a variety of volunteering roles that I've undertaken. Some might wonder how I managed to fit this into my busy schedule. After all, like everyone else, my agenda is packed. But the reality is that time isn't much of a barrier for me. And why is that? Many of these volunteering roles only require a couple of hours a week, or even just a few weeks a year. It is essential to choose the right volunteering opportunities for you, ones that align with your interest, allow for the right time commitment, and connect with people who are somewhat different from your usual circles. This helps break the invisible bubble we often find ourselves in, which is the cause of many of our biases. Seek out opportunities involving individuals who are younger, older, or simply from different walks of life. You might need to explore a few options before finding the right fit. For instance, let me share how I made some of my choices. My professional background is in human resources and learning and development. I wanted to find a volunteering opportunity that resonated with that expertise, but was outside of my usual context in Europe or Australia, where I had already gained some experience. I discovered an opportunity to volunteer as a reviewer for applications to the Young African Leaders Mandela Washington Program. This prestigious initiative is funded by the US Department of State. And to be honest, I wasn't sure whether I would be even selected. Yes, but I took the leap and applied, and I was chosen. This role not only enhances my professional profile, but also contributes positively to my personal brand. I give my time and I receive immense value in return. But what else do I gain from this experience? Well, my primary responsibility involves reviewing applications from doctors, engineers, startup founders, NGO directors from across Africa who are applying for a grant to study in the US. The insights that I've gained from these applications are beyond anything I could have learned from the comfort of my home office. The stories I've encountered, the extraordinary talent I've discovered, talent that often goes unrecognized and underutilized, are truly eye-opening. My preconceived notions, my biases about Africa and its people have transformed forever. Without this volunteering role, I would have never grown in my understanding of diversity as I have. And you might think, I want to do something bigger, something that brings change, that creates a legacy. Well, you never know where some of these doors that you open might take you. I also volunteer, for example, as a mentor for several organizations around the world. In this other volunteering role, I was supporting one of my mentees. And I was looking for opportunities for her to develop her public speaking skills. And this took me to pioneer the very first TED Women event in the country of Namibia in 40 years of TED history. I love TED Talks. The thought that in a way, in a small way, I helped make TED history is a source of enormous pride for me. Now, every year, strong, powerful, successful women and men allies get on a TED stage and are role models that change perceptions, biases, and lives for everyone. What a wonderful result of simply giving a bit of my time. So truly, if we wish to drive the change we desperately need in our society, developing inclusive leadership skills is essential. Our biases often mislead us into believing that profit and diversity are incompatible, when in fact the opposite is true. Data consistently shows that diverse teams outperform homogeneous teams. A 2024 McKinsey study this year shows that this can be up to almost 40% increase in performance for diverse teams. So as you can see, embracing diversity isn't just a moral imperative, it's a strategic advantage. This week, I came back from India. My first time there. What a beautiful country, I have to say. What an amazing experience I was privileged to have. I was generously invited by the founders of this organization, G100, Dr. Harvind Arora Rai and Vinay Rai. There I met with other leaders of the G100 and got to know the fantastic projects they are managing all around the world. And I wonder what extraordinary changes this experience, meeting and collaborating with these inspiring, passionate leaders will bring. I can only dream, for I know I am in the right place. So how can we bring about this positive change? If you are a leader, I urge you to propose the integration of volunteering programs into your leadership development initiatives for your teams. The benefits are immense. You will cultivate skills that are essential for any effective leader, such as cross-cultural communication, fostering a growth mindset, or developing empathy and understanding. Through volunteering, leaders can witness firsthand the challenges faced by various communities, which fosters empathy and broadens their perspectives. Stepping outside of their professional expertise enables leaders to cultivate humility and a growth mindset, traits that are vital for inclusive leadership. In any case, seek out volunteering opportunities aligned with your passions, causes that truly resonate with you. Start small if you need to, but do start. You will soon discover that volunteering is not just a means to give back. It's a powerful strategy to combat bias, enhance empathy, and nurture a style of leadership that is genuinely inclusive. I encourage each of you to embrace volunteering, not merely as a philanthropic gesture, but as an opportunity to grow as an inclusive leader. Together, we can foster an environment where we can make a real possibility for diversity to thrive and everyone's potential is realized. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for this opportunity. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
That was so brilliant, Carol. Loved every little bit of all the revelations that you shared. I think all eyes were popping up in terms of the data you were supplying. And, it was like really a lot of revelations coming in. Very interesting. And yes, I think at the end of the day, like what you said in terms of biases, we always have to look firstly at our cognitive biases and then how they spell out in the various roles that we play, whether as leaders or, whatever areas. I think we've got
I have
Carol go off
something.
the screen for a second, so
I have
we
something.
can have every.
I have something
Yeah,
to share, Carol. This is a point that Erica also brought up in her talk, and I think it's really important. And I'm also a proponent of this. I also mentioned this. One of the things that you shared is going to another country had such an impact of you. It really helps dispel the stereotypes and all the things that we think we know about somewhere until we go there. And I think Erica brought this up, and I agree with this. One of the things that we really need to start thinking of is almost mandating volunteerism, whether it's as a college course, you have to go out and you have to serve, whether it's as a high school project. Because we really do dispel a lot of myths and rumors and stereotypes and biases when we immerse ourselves with other people. But if we stay in our bubble, we engage in confirmation bias. Like everything around us just confirms our beliefs, and we cannot get out of that until we serve other communities and see how other people live. Because at the end of the day, even if we are in another community, we can also find that commonality, and we can only do that through connection. So thank you for bringing that point up again, because I think really pushing that narrative into industry, nation, and cause, get out there and support your communities is such an important part of this.
absolutely,
Thank you,
absolutely. Very
Sylvie.
well put, Milan. There has to be the growth from inside, but like you said, it can't be you curtailed within the four walls of your own home or your office. You have to go beyond that and reach out and get the opportunity to shed your biases, at least in the first place. Give yourself that try, to at least move out. So yeah, that's a very, very valid point. Fantastic. Is there anyone else who wants to share their thoughts on what Carol shared? Or if you have any questions? Yes, Angela. Please go on.
I'm just enthralled by all of the speakers today. I mean, it's just been amazing. Carol, thank you so much for your share as well. I think for me, what we're also starting to see is, as I said earlier on, in terms of schools and the community, the way that children are not rewarded for being part of the community or having a community program as much as the athletes and the academics. It's the same thing within corporate. A lot of, so somebody's unmuted, so there's been an echo. It's a lot of corporate social investment programs are just tick box exercises. They're reporting to the board, they can tick off the fact that they've done corporate social investment stuff, but the real context and culture and the buy-in at an executive level that filters into the organization. I mean, we give you an example. Every year on Nelson Mandela's birthday, the 18th of July, they do the Nelson Mandela it's the 4667 project where corporates will sponsor a thing that their staff do for the day, and then they forget about it for the rest of the year. So they'll go in and they'll do one thing, and particularly because it's high profile, and then they get their pictures on their social media and they do all of that stuff, and then it goes back to business as usual. So it's not become yet the fabric of their organization.
And very much agree, Angela. Thank you. I'm sorry to cut you off. We have to introduce our next speaker, so we maintain time. Angela, let's pick that up when we chat again later.
Great.